So basically, it was like a year ago. A lot of the members of the original Keep Austin Fishing, they were wanting some kind of shirts or hats made, and so we didn't normally do them, and so we finally decided that enough people asked us that we wanted to go ahead and host like a pre-order sales event and see how many hats and shirts we could move. So I figured since I was doing it anyways, I'd reach out to a couple friends of mine and see if they wanted to come out, get a little FaceTime with some of our members, bring out their products. We invited Forage Lures, we invited Bass Pro Shops, we invited quite a few of them, and most importantly is why we're here today, we invited Leviathan Rods. So I called Eric and I asked him if he wanted to come up, set up a booth, and maybe offer up a custom Keep Austin fishing rod.
Okay.
So a little over a year ago, Beau called me and asked me if I'd be interested in donating a custom Keep Austin fishing rod for a raffle at the slab event that we were having. And I was humbled and honored by the opportunity, and emphatically said yes, and got to work on creating the best fishing rod I could think of at the time.
So we were right in the middle of this pre-order sales event, and everything was going well. We had a lot of people showing up, a lot of the people that we invited out, including Eric. It was going well, and there was a lot of buzz that got created about this rod, and a lot of people wanted it. And so I asked Eric if he wanted to talk in the future about maybe producing a collaborative signature rod with the original Keep Austin Fishing. So when I called Eric, it was maybe a few weeks later. It's kind of like when you're approaching a project like this. It's kind of like a tattoo. You want to leave that leeway for the artist to be able to make it really pop. And so there was really just a few things that I really wanted to be the fundamental structure behind the Keep Austin fishing rod. There was just a few basics, but they were important to me. I wanted it to be designed with long-term durability in mind. I wanted it to be a multi-purpose rod, a rod suitable for any angler, whether you're fishing freshwater or saltwater. Kind of the trend, we see these neon green rods, these neon yellow and neon orange, and all these real bright, shiny colors. Well, that's just never kind of been our MO. So, when we started talking about it, I really wanted it to just have a real classic design. I didn't want it to pop. I just wanted the whole thing to be classic. But most importantly, I wanted to build a great rod at a really great price.
So I'm going to tell you guys about the thought process behind this fantastic rod that we were able to come up with. First, we wanted something that wasn't all flash and no substance. We didn't want these loud colors. We wanted something that was classic and beautiful and elegant. So the foundation of this was an American-made Gary Loomis blank, premium graphite, from which we could build this great idea around, and that's what we were able to source. So we had these American-made Loomis blanks that were sent here to begin the process of building just an iconic Texas-made fishing rod right here in Central Texas. The next step, the next phase of that is Beau and I had settled on the idea of using cork, because cork just has this iconic, classic look with durable properties as well. So we went with a cork fighting butt and a cork rear grip on both spinning and casting rods to just complement and not detract from that foundation that we started with the Loomis blank. The next idea that we had was around the fishing guides themselves, the guides, and by guides I'm talking about something like this, if you can see that. A problem on modern rods is the fact that these guide rings pop out. Especially when it seems like it's the worst time for that to happen. When you're fishing a tournament or you've got the big fish on, the guide ring will pop out and your rod will fail. So what we wanted to do was to put guide rings on there that was going to eliminate that possibility from happening. Again, playing into the long-term durability and performance issue. So we went with these really light, super strong, ringless guides for this fishing rod layout. Finally, we wanted all of the color scheme to be muted but powerful and stylish and not flashy. So the paint on these fishing rods is made just for keep awesome fishing, and it has this sort of ghostly elegance to it. It has this sort of aquamarine quality that really pops in the sunlight and really helps to separate these rods from the rest of the pack. And finally, what we wanted to do was we wanted to combine guide wrap threads that weren't too flashy and wild, but complemented the overall design we were going for. And so we came up with these colors to sort of match the paint on these iconic and classic blanks. So with a project like this, there is an inherent difficulty in trying to bring together a fantastic rod at the $199 price point. And the difficulty with that should be, an obvious one for you guys. What makes this rod special? That's the question. We wanted a rod built here locally, sourced locally. And that point right there alone knocks out just about all the other competing rods at the price point, because all the other ones are built overseas, with very, very few exceptions. It's also really difficult to find the right components at this price point that are going to complement our idea and vision for this rod and the project, and also give you value that you need at that price. And so it's not about just getting the most expensive components or the cheapest components. It's about finding the right components, and that's what we really want to do. So the parts we're using, they're not the cheapest, so we can save money and cut corners on this rod. They're not. They're the right components for performance, especially for Texas fishermen and the applications that they're going to be using the rods. They're the right components. And so we're not just trying to put together something that's flashy and may only last a year because budget reasons or anything like that. We really believe that we found the right components that are going to match this rod and at the price point that you guys are looking for.
just from doing what I do for a living, you know, when it all comes down to it, basically I do a bunch of repairs. You know, I repair fishing rods and fishing reels for a living, and you know that really allowed me to contribute based on what my experience has been. You know, I used to build custom rods, and I quit doing it a long time ago. And you know, but doing rod repair for so long, I see so many reasons why individuals experience some sort of failure on their fishing rods. And so from my experience, I think, you know, we really tuned this rod in to have that desired long-term durability effect. You know, I really didn't want to get too into the weeds with it because, you know, I wanted the artist to be able to do his thing, and that's when Eric took over.
So the blank is the real star of the show here, and I want to get into a little bit about how we were able to acquire this blank and what makes it so special. And one of the things, the starting point really is the fact that this blank comes from Washington State, from Gary Loomis's factory at North Fork Composites. Gary Loomis is one of the icons in our industry, maybe the icon in all of fishing rod manufacturing. For the United States, if not globally, and he's still with us and still making high-end fishing rods in his small corner of Washington State. And because of my prior relationship through Leviathan, I was able to ask them for a super special blank built just for Keep Austin Fishing, and they delivered. And they delivered, with a bang, because this blank is phenomenal. It was made just for Keep Austin Fishing. It's got a beautiful coloration, which, funny enough, was an accident because I had originally asked for a sort of midnight blue, but it came back, or a darker blue, but it came back in this beautiful aqua color that now, in retrospect, I don't think any of us would change because it really gives it an eye-catching, timeless look that we're grateful for happening on accident. So we had our initial rollout, and the rods were fantastic. They were great, but we're always looking for ways to improve. You know, after some field testing and not just wanting to settle on throwing something out there and being done with a project. We wanted to keep refining it and keep crafting it. So Beau and I had a phone conversation about how can we fine tune this already beautiful instrument and make it perfect. And we came out with tightening the guide train. We wanted to tighten the guide train to focus the line and just get a better cast, get a more efficient cast, and we did that. So we went from, for example, from size 6 running guides down to size 5. We also increased the length of the cork so that it would have a better, just perfect feel in your hand when you're using the rod. And we decreased the foregrip as well. And that just came together and to just a beautiful instrument that we couldn't be more proud of.
So, I remember when I saw the first one start to roll out, and I was blown away. Eric did an unbelievable job with that red, white, and blue color scheme. But what was most important is that he really built it to what I believe we both envisioned. The color scheme was great. It was so classically designed. The guides that he chose, were the embodiment of long-term durability. Because let's face it, if you've got a fishing rod with guides that have inserts, at some point in time you're going to knock them out. So we really put a lot of thought into what components that were going into this rod. trying to make sure that we could keep it at that $199 price point, yet still offer a totally viable product for anybody that picked it up. Basically, we wanted a rod that anybody would pick up would be impressed with. Yeah, you know, after the refinements, I really truly believe that we achieved what we set out to do. We built a very special rod for very special people, built by very special people. You know, it's hard to accomplish that, but I believe we did.
So Leviathan fishing rods, one of the things that we're most proud of, might surprise you unless you've heard about us, and you're well versed with who we are and what we do. But you know, we're not proud of our sales. We're not proud of the bottom line. We're not proud of the margins that we get out of our fishing rods. That stuff's important, but it's not defining who we are as a company. What I cherish the most is the fact that we give back from every rod that's sold. Our nonprofit that we focus on is called Foster Village, and Foster Village is a local resource center for foster families and kids. And you know, it's particularly important to us here at Leviathan because I was a foster kid myself. So it's not something that we're using to sell fishing rods. Quite the contrary. It is part of the reason why we're doing this in the first place. Let's put out a quality fishing product, maybe the best that there is, but let's also impact our community for the better. Change lives, improve where we live, and be good neighbors to the least of these in our community. And that's why this Keep Awesome Fishing project in particular is such a great thing as well, because they want the same thing for this neighborhood and this community. So a portion of every rod that you guys buy, of every Keep Awesome Fishing rod, goes to help out Foster Village as well. And I think that is something that we're all proud of here in designing and rolling out these fishing rods for you guys.